Hello, each and everyone out there watching on the internet. This is Take the Black, the weekly show on Winter's Come, where we talk about everything fantasy, sci-fi, movies, TV. I am Dan Selcke, the editor of winterscome.net. And we'll just say, first up, um, our usual co-host, Daniel Roman, is still out. He's still around. Don't worry, he'll be back. And I've seen the rumors that he was never really real. We just dreamed him. Those aren't true. That's whoever told us is wrong. But this week, we have on Cody Schultz, the entertainment director from fansided.com Entertainment Division, on to talk with us. Cody, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me too. It's been a bit, I know I joined Daniel not too long ago, but it's been a bit since I've got to come on and talk all things fantasy and sci-fi with you.
Good. I'm glad you're here. I don't know why I want to say this, but everyone at home, you need to know that Cody Schultz, even though he looks, and he is extremely friendly and nice, he's like 7 feet tall. You can't tell sitting down, but he's a tall man. I just want them to know that. So if they try to come for you, they'll think twice. Hey, everybody watching. Hello, Natalie. Hello, Martha. Hello, Julie. Thanks for waking up. No need to wake up. Julie is our fan in Australia who has to wake up way too early to watch this because it's too early over there. But we'll talk about that later. As usual, we have plenty to talk about. And hello, Andrew, over there on the YouTube. And everyone watching on YouTube, Facebook, all the internet is welcome. As usual, plenty of hello, Claudia. Good to see you as well. Look at all our fans. So Cody, I know that you're actually not a big dragon stan, but we're going to talk a little bit about House of the Dragon and then move on to something you are an expert in. But first, we got to visit Westeros because this is Take the Black. It is a Game of Thrones House of the Dragon talking first and foremost. We have to check in with what's happening with those wacky folk. You've never watched Game of Thrones House of the Dragon, right, Cody?
Correct.
Sorry.
Honestly, that's where I thought you were going with that first intro. I'm like, oh, here comes my roast for not watching House of the Dragons or
No, it
Game
just
of
popped into my
Thrones.
head that you're like really tall in person. People don't know that looking at you on the screen.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's definitely I'm lucky in that sense. I got the height from my mom's side of the family, which is a plus. And it works being like the tallest of the siblings too, because there's nothing worse than being like a older brother who's shorter than the younger brothers. So that definitely is a
True.
plus.
Yeah, it works out beautifully. My older brother's also the oldest. He stole it. But anyway, Guns House the Dragon. Can I ask you this? Would you have you ever attempted to watch Game of Thrones House of the Dragon, or is there like a life plan where that would happen, or has this ship just sailed?
I mean,
You to
I'll
be
never
honest.
say never. I go back to shows very far removed from when they premiere. I mean, to
Mm.
be fair, I know about the shows. Like I know the gist of things just because I've read articles, I've
Well,
edited
sure, yeah.
articles. So I know like key events that happened and that. But I mean, I've learned to never say never. I sometimes I'm slower and it's weird when I'll go to catch up on some of these different shows. But I mean, when I binge watch and jump into shows, which the summer's that perfect time for me because all
Sure.
of the fall shows are off and I'm like always trying to fill time. Um, but I mean, there's been other shows that I've caught up on, and just you have to nudge me enough times, and then I'll be like, fine, let me give it a try. And then if I hate it, I'll just be friendly and be like, yeah, I checked it out, and I don't know if it's for me, and you just won't hear me about it, or I'll become
Gotcha.
obsessed with it. Because that's happened as well. Like I was late to the Ted Lasso train, and once I
Oh, it
started that
ended. It's over.
year, it became my whole personality for a bit.
Hmm. I later we can chat about the Ted Lasso finale because I watched it and it was good. I liked it. But for now, Westeros. Maybe we'll turn you on while we talk about this for a bit. So basically, they're filming season 2 of House of the Dragon. It's ongoing. They're in Wales. Nudge, nudge, Cody, says Julie. So just meh. And I'll keep it up, Julie, off camera. One bit of quick news might interest anybody out there. If you're in Wales and you don't have an arm or a leg, they're looking for you. They're casting for male amputees 18 to 55 to be in House Dragon Season 2 in Wales. So if you're a Welsh amputee, go for it. Do not cut off your limb just to be in the show. We do not recommend this. unless you can like fake it really well. So that's fun. My guess, again, Cody, you're just gonna have to go along for a second. There's a bit in this because this is based off the show's based off a book called Fire and Blood by George R. R. Martin, and there is my guess is that there's a bit where Rhaenyra Targaryen, who is one of the two opposing war people who are fighting for the Iron Throne, has more dragons than they have riders for them. So they put out this call in the book to like, if you can come ride this dragon, anybody who can successfully do it, we will give you a knighthood, we will give you lands. And there's this section I think would be really fun on TV where like tons of folk try and a few succeed, but a lot of others like get maimed and killed and hurt trying to tame these dragons. So my bet is they need amputees for like the unsuccessful people who try to tame the dragons and just whoops didn't quite work. There are some battles coming too. You always need the armless and the legless for that. Cody, would you lose an arm or a leg to play a role?
I would not. No, no,
Yeah, I
thank
don't
you.
think anybody
I'm not.
would.
I mean, it's interesting to me that they're doing the casting calls. I feel like so many times you just see like they'll use like the green screen technology, and you'll see just a bunch of people wearing like the green sleeves on their different limbs, and then they'll just kind of like digitally take them out afterwards. So, I do think it's neat that that they're putting out this open casting call. It'll be interesting to see how exactly they do come into play of the different theories you mentioned. But
like
yeah, that seems like I don't know. I guess they have to cast a wide net there.
Yeah.
Who knows? I'd love to know how many people showed up for it and what the disclaimers say and like the casting blast that they put out there. Because I'm sure they probably, you just know they had to put something out there like, do not do physical harm.
If they don't have a don't maim yourself disclaimer and someone does it, they can't be held responsible for that legally, surely. I don't know. If I were their lawyer, I would put in a don't hurt yourself. Whatever. We're getting off topic. So that's happening. That's fun. Leo says diverse, higher, or cost effective. As Julie says, maybe a finger or a toe. Yeah, sure. If there was like a really okay, here's a question. Would you cut off a finger or a toe for $1 million?
Probably not.
I think I would.
I mean,
I think I'd do it. It'd be like a less used toe, but I think I would do it for $1 million.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could part with like a pinky, like.
No. My hands, no. I wouldn't. By the way, in all the comments, I want to know what you think too. I want to keep my hands, but like the toes, I'll just wear socks and shoes all the time. Just and that'll be fine. Maybe a toe, Emily says, and Julie says, yeah. Chloe says, no. I don't know, man. I mean, I have 2 feet. It wouldn't be too balance. It wouldn't be too far off balance. Okay. Anyway, moving on. We also have the stunt coordinator for both Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, Rowley Earlham, talking about House of Dragon season 2 and just House of Dragon in general. And he's basically out here teasing a big battle sequence that we all suspect is coming, but it's going to get some confirmation. So, I mean, Cody, again, you don't watch Game of Thrones. I just want to shame you again for that. Did you hear while it was happening, they had these, kind of big, spectacular battle sequences that I think kind of traveled. Like folk were talking about these, the Battle of the Bastards, the Loot Train Attack, et cetera, and so forth. That show kind of raised the bar for kind of movie level action on TV. I feel like other shows are trying to do, like that Lord of the Rings show tried to do it and it was like half successful. Well, the Time show did it and was like half successful. That's traveled. And I guess the question now is, does House of Dragon have to deliver that level of splendor? And what the stunt coordinator says is the desire to always go bigger and better. The desire is always to go bigger and better, but not to repeat. We don't want Battle of the Bastards 2 or Hard Home 2 or Spoils of War 2. We're always trying to find new sequences we can get our teeth into. Cody, are there any action scenes on TV that stick out to you when you think about spectacularity on your small screen?
I know, I'm trying to think. I mean, my mind's going to more recent ones lately of things like from some of the Marvel shows. Of course, there's been some good fight sequences. The Mandalorian has done some really incredible
true, yeah.
scenes and all that. But yeah, I feel like it is a hard thing too for for this show, because you do have those high standards to live up to, that it is like you have to at least hit the bar, and then it's like you have to try to find ways to top yourself, because you're already being compared to the predecessor no matter what. Like people
True.
are going to compare them. So it does kind of raise that bar for them of like the expectations, even if it is of Game of Thrones just level, there's that expectation that needs to be even better than it was before. And so it'll be interesting. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I keep forgetting that this show is also still filming, that they're not one that's shut down like most of the other.
Yeah, it's that weird, are they scabs or are they not? It's a very strange gray area that they're going through.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see if it affects the quality.
I mean, I'm not really worried about the battles. I'm not sure the writers are going to be talking about the battles that much. It's more of a director thing, and they just bunch of scabs signed a deal. We'll get to that later. By the way, I have more to say about this, but really quick, some great comments. Andrew Haley from The Last Kingdom for a battle scene. More great toe input. Martha probably would. And Natalie's expression, would we get taxed on the million? And I just thought about it, and I don't think we would, because if someone's going to give you $1 million for cutting off an appendage, I feel like that's like under the radar, like that's not a public thing, because then the law would get involved and it'd be like a big how to do. So I feel like no, you would not get taxed, but the chances that you cut off something and they don't deliver at all do go up. So it's a different kind of risk. I think it depends. I think I'd still do it. Anywho, Rowley Earlham continued saying that it's not a secret that in this story there's a battle at sea. I think that's where we're headed. The desire is to expand our repertoire to a large sea battle. You can do a sea battle in a car park, but it won't necessarily feel the same. But there are water tanks, and there's a tank here in Leavesden, England. If you're going to do it, I think do it in a tank, but let's see what happens. Basically, he is saying, without saying it, there's a big battle called the Battle of the Gullet coming up. And it is true that Game of Thrones, for as many battles they never did like a battle at sea, because that's probably very hard. I don't know. I don't film battles. To have like ships fighting ships. There's a big one called the Battle of the Gullet. I won't spoil it, but it involves this character here, Jacaerys Valerian, seen wearing what looks like a broom for a wig. I think they're going to get on that in the second season. It involves dragons. It involves ships. It could be pretty great if they do it. And that's what Mickey means, because Natalie said we want Battle of Bastards 2, and Earlham said that they don't want to repeat themselves. I think there's definitely room for them to have something spectacular that we just haven't seen. And this big Battle of the Gullet sea battle with there's lots of ships involved could be a good opportunity to do that. And again, Cody, I know you haven't seen the show, so I don't know if I asked your opinion on this. Do you have any thoughts, or can we just move on?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely, just to sum it up, like without knowing like the full context, I think doing something and like the Battle of a sea battle would definitely is something we haven't seen. Like,
stand out, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard sometimes finding different ways to do battle, and I feel like that opens so many opportunities of how they can play it up with, like you said, like the ships and just people going overboard. Will there be any kind of sea creatures come into play? It kind of gives them, they can even like, just like the aesthetics is so different than a battle that's on land. So
100%.
I think it'll be interesting to see what they come up with and how it turns out.
Yeah, and I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but if they can do it, it should be pretty cool. And I do like the variety. And as Natalie says, yeah, the actor who plays Jace has such nice hair. I don't know why they put him in a wig. I don't either. Yeah, I think his hair was too short when he came in, and they said like you need fantasy hair. I think he's growing it out this time, because it really did look like they got like a Hanson wig and dyed it brunette in that first season. So we'll see what happens next time. Okay, as Andrew says, but it'll be awesome. Andrew Haley, yeah, the Battle of the Gullet from Fire and Blood could be a very good time. All right, so that's our Westeros corner. How fun, how interesting. Cody, I don't want to be that pushy person who makes you watch a show. I don't know. Maybe I'll try hard because it's such a lifeblood of our site, but we'll see. God, should I get into this really quick? I remember like you hadn't seen Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or anything. And just the thought of me like, but you run the entertainment division. How could I have seen Star Wars, Lord of the Rings? Just like, I feel like it's part of professional development. Have you since seen Star Wars? I thought you did.
I have, and yes, it was a matter of you just have to stay on me with it because
Mhm.
that's what happens. I don't want to say I was bullied into watching them, but friendly
That
banter,
that that
basically.
that feels right.
But
Everyone
I
bullied you into
mean,
doing it.
I don't know. I think it was one of those things. I watched the Star Wars movies when they launched on Disney Plus, and my commentary short and sweet on those that I love The Mandalorian, and
That's
that's
true.
where yeah, The Mandalorian saved Star Wars for me because I'm not gonna lie, the movies did not hold my interest in areas.
Mhm.
The pacing just wasn't there for me in some parts, and I think what it is I didn't have that nostalgia that so many people have with that franchise.
Sure.
That like I wasn't a franchise I grew up on, and so it's just I didn't have that same impact on me. But I love The Mandalorian. Book of Boba Fett,
Good.
it's okay. I'm really I'm really excited for Ahsoka and to see what they do with that one, and we'll talk on that a little bit later. But
For the day.
yeah, I don't know what it is. It's just it's not me being like a contrarian by way of anything. It's just I don't know. I've always
No,
leaned a little bit
like
more towards broadcast.
yeah, I get it. Like some everyone's different. I mean, Camille and Natalie are aghast, but it's different strokes for different folks. That sitcom said. And as Martha asked, didn't the Graders have a battle at sea? Which they did, but it was kind of like all on one ship. That was the seventh season of Game of Thrones, episode 2, God of the Dark, where there was like a fight, but it was just like people fighting on a ship. We're talking about like ships fighting ships. They really haven't had that. So looking forward to that. But Cody, one thing you do watch, I know that you watch, is stuff with superheroes. We're talking people who are clad in spandex. They have capes. They fly. They jump. They can punch things and the things fall apart rather than they hurt their hand. That kind of thing. You are a superhero person, so I'm going to run some superhero stories by you and get your take because it is happening out here in this superhero landscape this week. Are you ready?
I am ready. I mean, Marvel, it looks like the Marvel threw up on me, so I think I'm come prepared, repping my
That's
Marvel
true.
fandom today.
Well, first, let's get your opinion on. I know that we haven't watched it, but the new Spider-Verse movie is just pleasing people, or, critics, ordinary people with souls, just up and down the line. This thing made a ton of money, like over 100 million, I think, domestically its first weekend. The reviews are rapturous. Um, Fun, quick story. I was supposed to see this at an advanced screening, and then I went on the wrong night by mistake. And I asked the ticket taker to like, I'm here for the screening. They're like, oh, we had one last night. Is it a different theater? And I'm like, yeah, it's in a different theater. That's it. I'm going to go to that theater. But it wasn't. I just put up on the wrong night. So I couldn't see it. But are you pleased with the reception, the rapturous reception the movie has been getting? And the
Yeah,
success?
I can't say I'm surprised with the success for
Yeah,
this
yeah,
one.
neither am I.
I mean, the first film in the franchise was a really big success. And this one, just like you said, is really built upon that. I mean, the opening for Into the Spider-Verse was 35 million, and Across the
Mhm.
Spider-Verse just did 120 million on its opening weekend.
Yeah,
So you can
good
see the
lord.
interest is definitely risen there. And I think it's because that this was a movie that got really good word of mouth buzz from fans, of just their friends going and seeing it and then talking them to go and seeing it. It also made waves at the Oscars and took home the Oscar for Best Animated Picture, which is
It was great.
it's
I remember that
very
one. It was
rare
really
for
good.
superhero movies to get recognition at award shows. We know this. I'm still holding that bitterness of Angela Bassett losing her Oscar.
Yeah, you were holding on to that.
I'm holding on to that one for dear life. But I think we anticipated because they teased that this one was going to go big, and really just further expand and build upon this world that it introduced in the first one, and it's delivered to that. I definitely plan on seeing it in theaters. It's just the opening weekend was such a weird, like crazy time that I haven't had the chance to go see it yet. But I'm really excited to see, especially they've been talking a lot about the styles and how they
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
like
dive
multiple
deeper into like
dimensions,
the
different animation styles.
and I think that's what I'm really interested to see. And of course, the soundtrack, we shouldn't be surprised at all. The soundtrack for this one is also getting praised. The first movie soundtrack was incredible, and they outdid themselves, I think, with the sequel soundtrack. And so I'm not surprised. I think people just want something different from superhero movies, and it's hard to get that because there's been so many. And this is one of those films,
Yes.
it's just, its style is unlike anything we've ever seen before. And so it's kind of in its own lane right now. And I think we'll eventually see imitators. It's just going to be a matter of how they try to go about it.
It does feel lighter on its feet than other superhero films. Just there's a different energy, different freshness, a different kind of movement. And I really want to see it. People are laughing at me for missing the screening, and they should, because that was really pathetic. Um, and I'll have to see it on my own time, and I'll pay double just because I feel like I should, to balance the scales. Uh, and that's been successful. They're also going to make, apparently, the Sony said they're also working on live action Miles Morales movie, live action Spider-Woman movies. Is that too much, or is that what people demand?
I don't think it's too much. I think it's long overdue, because we're finally with
Sure.
this
Yeah.
franchise seeing that diversity brought to the screen, and it's something that's been lacking for far too long, and in comics in general, but also especially in superhero movies. And we're seeing efforts finally being taken with some of these franchises kind of become more diverse and introduce these different characters. And I think Miles Morales is such a perfect character to do that with. It'll be interesting to see how they go about casting, because of course the actor who voices him in the movies, I don't think they could get him to play
No.
the character. Just the age difference
I think
is
it's a
way
little too
much.
old. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Donald
Shamik
Glover
Moore's
got too
28.
old too. There's a young actor out there who doesn't have much of a name yet. He'll be perfect for it.
That's what it'll be interesting to see, is if they go with someone kind of unknown at the time, or if
Or
they try to find
Jaden
a big
Smith.
name. I keep seeing Caleb McLaughlin from Stranger Things also
Oh,
as
okay.
someone,
Yeah,
which I
that could
could see
work.
him possibly too. But I almost hope they go with like a lesser known, because that's kind of what happened with Tom Holland. Is he hadn't that was really his big break, and kind of shifted the whole trajectory of his career, and gave us a really fun Spider-Man. So I wouldn't be mad if they went with a lesser known actor.
I do hope they. I wish it was just Miles Morales and they would dump the Peter Parker movies, because I do like, look, once we have like three different Spider-Man franchises, it will start feeling tired. Like right now, they're going to have like there's a Batman franchise with the British one, the vampire Sparkles Pattinson. There's going to be a new one where they're casting that now. It's going to be a lot of super guys on screen. That there's a lot of Batman on screen. That's starting to feel a little old. Just they can't keep this going forever. But I'm happy the Spider-Verse movie is doing so well. Also, Natalie, but not Natalie, Julie said her favorite superhero is Thor. So a good segue to this. Did you hear about Chris Hemsworth grousing recently, weighing in on the eternal Marvel movies aren't cinema debate? Basically saying he finds it super depressing when he hears that. There goes two of my heroes I won't work with. I guess they're not a fan of me. I'm thankful that I was been a part of something that kept people in cinemas. Now, whether or not those films were to the detriment of other films, I don't know. I don't know when we start. I don't love when we start scrutinizing each other when there's so much fragility in the business and in the space of the art as it is. Apparently, even his kids criticize the Thor movies, or his kids' friends, saying that the fourth Thor was too silly. I guess I'll just ask you, Cody, where do you fall on the Marvel movies aren't cinema spectrum? And are you more Team Hemsworth or Team Martin Scorsese, who famously said that Marvel movies aren't real cinema? Not real.
Yeah, so first off, I love the accent. Threw me for a minute, but
It
love
turned
the
to John
accent
Lennon
there.
halfway through. It was not good.
I mean, it's probably no surprise that I'm with Hemsworth on this one.
Sure.
I mean, that's no shocker at all. I think if anybody saw it going the other way, I'm sorry. It's just, it's one of those things that it irks me, in that it's a sense of, you don't have to put down one genre of film just because you don't you're not a fan of it and you don't want to make those kind of movies. I mean, we've always kind of seen with film history, there's always these waves of different genres become super,
true.
super popular, and then they kind of phase out at a certain point, and then they regain popularity down the line. I mean, you had like, look at Westerns for such a long period of like every actor was just Western movies and all that. And it's part of the genre. And I think sometimes it's like almost comes off as bitter of that these people are going and seeing all of these movies and spending millions of, raking in millions, and there's like, a handful
Billions.
of people going to see their movies, and it's like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it's easy for some of these directors to just call out Marvel and say, "Oh, it's not acclaim, it's not cinematic." And there's definitely, yes, there's more of these movies are designed to be those big blockbuster popcorn kind of movies. But to discount the whole franchise, I mean, there's so many incredible moments in this franchise.
True.
And I mean, like, you've got like even like films like Black Panther, or outside the Marvel front. Like I think Wonder Woman was a movie that kind of got overlooked and didn't get the acclaim that everyone hoped it would get, and Patty Jenkins' direction there. And yeah, I mean, to each their own, but I feel like it's just a way to say like, oh, this genre is doing too much, so it's not cinema. That's its downfall.
It's bitter. I mean, they are very different, but that was the last era. This is the new era. There will be another era. I mean, perhaps they're bitter because, like, the reality is Martin Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola, they probably won't be alive to see the next era. So, like, it's too bad that their era has passed and that they, maybe if they live to the next one, their kind of movie should come back in vogue again. But they're very old, so they won't. Like Tarantino might live long enough to like have a resurgence. Um, but I love them too. Like it's not like I stopped loving Goodfellas because Martin Scorsese is like Marvel movies. So rock on everybody. Finally, this is a big one. Actually, there are two more. One more small superhero thing, and then the big one. Um, we got our first image from the new Captain America film, Brave New World, changed from I think it was first Captain America New World Order. Now it's Brave New World. Harrison Ford and Anthony Mackie as Thunderbolt Ross and the new Captain America. Look at my command of names. Any thoughts on this, Tony? The title change, the picture. Are you interested in this?
I think the title change was definitely a very, very
Cowardly.
smart move, because
Yeah, I
there was a lot of controversy around the name change,
Mhm.
originally, just because of the kind of ties it has. Um,
Conspiracy
and
thought.
and so yeah, with like the New World Order kind of, it's very viewed as very anti-Semitic and that. And so I think it was a good change for Marvel, even though they didn't say, we've heard the fans and that's why we're changing it. I think it was a smart play. Um, I'm curious to see where this one goes. I think I'm more excited. I don't know. I've always been a little lukewarm on Anthony Mackie's Falcon. I did enjoy Falcon and the Winter Soldier and his kind of rise into Captain America in that
This wasn't bad.
position. But I think what I'm more excited about is to see where they go with the next Falcon, with Danny Ramirez reprising his role from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They haven't released any official photos, but there's been leaked set photos kind of confirming he is going to take up the Falcon mantle in this movie. And we've seen some
Sure.
shots of his costume, and they're very comic accurate. And so I'm excited for that. It'll be interesting to see where they go. We haven't really seen, in Marvel at least, the passing of a torch from one franchise going from one hero to another hero. So it'll be
That's
interesting to
true.
see.
Yeah.
But I think fans are going to show up for this one. I think it's got a lot to be excited for. This is also one of the few Marvel movies that hasn't been shut down yet. So it seems like it's probably will be one that'll at least be able to stick its landing next season, not next season, next year. Because I know it's coming out, I think, in summer of 2024. So I'm sure it'll be that big Marvel blockbuster for fans. But I think it's just going to be interesting to see how much of the tie-in there is to the show versus the movie.
It could be cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Honestly, my first thought when they changed the title was that I liked the old title because it was so controversial. Although I guess it would depend on the content. Like if they actually went after that conspiracy theory and like the movie was deconstructing it, that would be cool. But also, I'm like, what are the odds that Marvel's going to actually deal seriously with an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory? Like, probably nil. So yeah, they probably just use it as window dressing. So probably change this. Although part of me has this fantasy that Marvel would like make a movie about an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory and like fighting against it, and that I would be fully in support of that. But they're not. They're not going to go that controversial. So it's probably more fitting. I don't even like what scriptwriter wrote that and thought it was going to like pass muster. I'm not even sure. But yeah, I'll probably have that changed. Really quick break. Hayato says really wants House Dragon season 2. So do we all. And as Claudia asks, but just by House of the Dragon, do we think the sea battle will be one episode or more? Probably just one episode. I don't think the battles really stretch out for more than one episode. These things cost like $1 million a minute. You only have so much that you can really lengthen them. And finally, Cody, back to superhero train. I want to ask, are you excited about The Flash, the next big superhero movie coming out next weekend, right? With a human crime scene, Ezra Miller starring as Barry Allen, the fastest man in the world who goes different dimensions, all the different dimensions do their superhero stuff. Are you going to see this one?
I am going to see this one, but this is one where it's I'm excited to see The Flash, but not because of The Flash. Like I'm
right.
more excited to see all of the other characters, especially Michael Keaton's Batman. I'm eager to see like what other cameos are going to sneak in, especially knowing this probably will be the last time we'll see certain characters appearing. It's hard because I didn't mind Ezra Miller's Barry Allen and Flash and the role that we did see them in.
They're all right.
They were, they were fun. It was kind of the humor and comedy that we have known for the Flash and from comics and the Justice League. And so I think if they hadn't gone down this like crime spree, like you said, it would be a completely different thing. And it's just like even so awkward to think of like how they're not having them do press because of course all of the controversy. So it's like not to have your marquee player there for most of the press. It just feels weird. Like they're going to do some of the big stuff, but they've kind of made it clear like, no, we're going to lean into having other cast members. And it's just it's a shame because I don't know who, but it's also just, I don't know. I'm struggling with this one also. There's excitement, but also there's that what's the point kind of question because of course the universe is getting rebooted. And so it's like, will this actually play into any other future plans, or is it just going to kind of be like a one-off of kind of like what we saw with the Zack Snyder Justice League cut of like, yeah, this is great, we finally saw it, but it's not going anywhere. So we got to enjoy it and all the what ifs, and they don't go anywhere. So I think that's where there probably is such a divide with fans, is just we saw how bad it hurt Shazam, a sequel, just because fans were like, what's the point? But yeah, I agree with, I just saw Andrew in the comments. It secretly is a Batman movie, it feels like at this point.
Yeah, maybe, if that were the case. I mean, I'm sure that Martin Scorsese, Quentin Tarantino, or Francis Ford Coppola would say that a movie should stand on its own. It doesn't have to go anywhere in order to be worth seeing. But that's the past. We're in the present, where movies only exist to set up the next movie. So yeah, what is the point? I'm being kind of sarcastic. I don't think if they offer me a free screening, I'll see it, and I'll show up to the right one this time. I swear. If any people are watching who want to invite me to a screening in Chicago, I'd love to go see it. That's good. The reviews have been pretty good, but like pretty good for a DC movie. I think like is the qualifier. Everyone is like, this is the best DC movie yet produced, with the caveat that most of them have been pretty bad.
Yeah, the bar is a bit lower.
Think about it. It is,
yeah, I completely agree. I think too, the other thing that is people have wanted to see them tackle the Flashpoint storyline, and like knowing that it could have all these repercussions that they could explore in other movies, and just knowing that, okay, we're going to get the Flashpoint, but it's probably just going to go nowhere. And so this feels like it should have been a universe building movie, and instead it's just probably like a road bump to the end of the DCU as we know it.
Maybe it can just tell a story from the beginning, middle, and end of the movie. That's possible. It's possible. It might happen. We'll see when it comes out next weekend, next Friday. All right, Cody, leave behind superheroes, leave behind Westeros. Are you and anybody out there, I want to know you guys too, what else are you watching, if anything? Or, as Daniel Roman would have it, are you reading anything? He does this thing where he has like these big, like kind of clumps of dead paper, and he flips through them, and there's words written on them, and he reads the words. Fucking witchcraft. Sorry, it's witchcraft. But what are you watching, if anything?
Yeah, so I'm in a weird, like that weird transition period of like where I'm looking for my next show to dive into. Just finished Manifest, its final 10 episodes. It was a thing. I was a little disappointed with how it ended. Also just watched the final season of Never Have I Ever, which is coming to Netflix this week. It definitely had a better ending. I was more happy with its series finale than I was with Manifest. But yeah, I'm kind of a free agent. So this, I guess, is the time where people should start bullying me about watching Game of
Oh,
Thrones
all
because
right, or something.
I'm grasping for straws and trying to figure out what am I going to dive into next.
You heard of people. If you want Cody to watch anything, recommend it now. Commenters out there. I mean, what do you think of the finale of Ted Lasso? Because I watched that.
That one, I really enjoyed the finale for that one. This show, like I mentioned, I was late to the game and binge watched it very quickly to where I was caught up, I think like a couple episodes into season 3, and then was having to watch weekly with the rest of the fans. And there I
Nice.
was every Tuesday night when the episode dropped early. And
Damn.
I really thought they stuck the landing with this one. I think we kind of saw where it was going with certain storylines. I know there was also some controversy about like the green screen for one of the final like wrap up scenes, but I didn't care. It was just living for the moment, and that I
Oh, there
thought it was a
was.
really there. Yeah, people did not like the Stonehenge scene at all.
Oh, it did look a little fake now that I think about it. I mean, I didn't. Whatever, it's fine. It was like 3 seconds.
Yeah, but I think where I'm
It was
struggling now is
Stonehenge.
figuring out what's Stonehenge.
They got married at. Well, that's stupid. Why
I
did they get
think
married
that
at
was
Stonehenge?
I think it was Stonehenge. Because well, I mean it makes sense for Coach. I mean, he's such an
Well, it
enigma.
does, but like, how much does that cost to rent out Stonehenge for a wedding? How much does the coach make?
I don't know. I think where my one struggle, and I'm curious to see what your thoughts are,
Ooh,
is the
Nicole
dream.
thought it
I've
was his
seen a lot
dream.
about that. I don't think it was. I think they've kind of
I don't think it was
just
either.
dispelled that because I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, well, that's just Ted's dream. That's why he wasn't as present in some of those scenes." But I want to know your thoughts on: do you think the show should continue? Because I know there's a lot of talks about them doing a spin-off.
No. About who? Danny Rojas and his brothel?
Well, I know this week
Harem, not brothel.
they sent out about like they tweeted out a picture of the Apple TV or Ted Lasso, one of those two accounts of the new coaches, and
Huh.
then one of the actors, the actor who plays Nate, basically like reacted with
Oh.
like a emoji, and so there's a lot of rumors like of could they continue the show without Ted, and I'm like, part of me says I'll be there just because I love these characters and I'd be curious, I'd follow
They're
them.
fun.
But it stuck the landing so well with its final episode that I kind
Yeah.
of am okay with where it ended.
I'm right there with you, actually. That sounds about right. Yeah, they could. There's enough gas in the tank, but there's something to be said for a show that gets in, gets out in its own time, does a good job, and doesn't need to stick around forever and just be lots of spin-offs. I'm looking really blue today. As Nicole says, they could probably continue the show, but it wouldn't be the same without Ted. True. And other folk, JP is watching Silo. Last episode has been okay. That's looked good. Julie agrees with you, Cody, that she loved Manifest, but agreed not the best ending for the show. And as Claudia says, Succession is good. Succession's one you could watch. Is that something that seems in your alley? I'm gonna guess no.
Probably not. No. Yeah. I
All
don't
right,
know what
fair
it is
enough.
about that one. I just, yeah.
I love Succession. Claudia, just FYI, I thought it was great. Um, I finished Succession. I finished Ted Lasso. We finished Barry. That one was good too. Now I'm going to watch the rest of the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which I as last season. Do you watch that one?
I do not know.
That might be. You know what? I can see you liking that one. I think that'd be a good Cody show.
Yeah.
Um, and I want to finish Better Call Saul, and I want to start Severance on TV Plus. So I have a full dance card. And then God, this month I'm gonna have to watch Secret Invasion. I got to watch The Witcher, which I'm sure is going to just lay a big fat turd on my eyeballs. Um, what else? There's Outlander coming out. There's the new Walking Dead spinoff. There's quite a bit on the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's lots going on. Minus Outlander, as Martha says. Yes, we'll be covering it. Outlander will definitely be one we'll talk about. We'll have Reba on here. Do you watch any of those? Are you an Outlander fan?
Nope, not an Outlander.
Gotcha. It's
But I know
possible.
that one. Yeah, it's possible. Definitely The Witcher. I did try The Witcher in my defense. I did
Mm,
try that one.
yeah,
I was very lost after the first episode and
it
just
was
decided
bad.
to go watch something else. So,
I'll say right now,
but
I think you would like The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I think you would like it. That seems like a show that would fit. That's my personal feeling. So if you ever want to try that, you, Because you enjoyed the Gilmore Girls, right? You didn't enjoy the
No.
Gilmore Girls. Okay, I'm
I
wrong. Never mind.
that's I am so all over the place. It's hard for people to peg down what I have seen and what I have not,
It
because I
is. It's
feel
very
like Gilmore Girls
challenging.
is one that I need to watch eventually. I just never did watch it when it was on, and was never one I've gone back to binge since.
Right?
I feel like
No,
I'd
I think
enjoy
you'd
it if
like
I
it.
started that one.
I think you would
Um,
too.
but yeah, Marvelous Miss Maisel, I think that's one that it's been on my watch list, my to-do list for a while. It's just there's so many shows sometimes to keep up with, and
Yes.
streaming shows sometimes make it harder because there's such big gaps between the seasons
Hmm.
that it's easy for me to fall off on some of those.
Of course.
Or when they do return, to dive back into them, it's like, oh, I can't even remember what I have to rewatch it because I forgot what happened when season 2 aired like 3 years ago. And so it's a little interesting with streaming.
Okay. I really do, because Mrs. Maisel, it just ended its whole series. It's over.
Hmm.
It's 4 seasons, like 10 episodes a season, so it's not too much. It seems like your kind of thing. My recommendation to you is the marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I think you would dig it, and we can reconvene some other time to see what happened with that. And as Julie says, try the Umbrella Academy. Martha thinks you might like the Americans, which are both also good recommendations. Do either of those spark joy in you?
So I do actually, I've watched the Umbrella Academy. That one, caught up on that. Looking forward to seeing how they wrap it
We
with the final
found one.
season. Yes, I have watched that one. The Americans ones was another one I always meant to get around to and just never did. I love the cast, and so I think that one's one that I'll probably could end up on the list this summer to watch.
Cool. Lots of options. Um, Finally, let's go into our final segment of the day, the Wick News Lightning Round, where we go through a bunch of stories. We didn't have time to get to the main body of the show. We just give our 20 seconds, no more, no less, but really sometimes more, opinions on them. Cody, are you ready to play?
I'm ready.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question first. We'll go back and forth. Cody, give me your 20-second take. The Directors Guild of America made a deal with the AMPTP, which is the organization that represents the studios, while the actors in the Actors Union, SAG-AFTRA, voted to authorize a strike ahead of negotiations. They haven't actually gone on strike yet, like the writers have. Cody, are the directors big fat scabs?
Yeah, my first instinct was like shady. Because there's been this whole thing throughout the writer strike of like how they've gotten support from the other unions that they hadn't gotten in the past.
Yeah, that
And it
went
was
down.
like, it seemed like everybody was supporting them. And then all of a sudden, the Directors Guild struck this deal. And I will give them the props of that. They did say like it's not going to affect like any of the writers' talking points. But yeah, I don't, it was shady for sure.
Yeah, it was a little shady.
All right, next one. The Rock is
Hit me.
getting his own Fast and Furious movie spinoff where he fights Jason Momoa. Thoughts?
I have not seen a single Fast and Furious movie ever, but I'm curious about them because they're so big and so popular and have their own like kind of little world. And yeah, like a movie where The Rock and Jason Momoa just go at it, just fight these two kind of slabs of charisma banging against each other. That sounds fun. Maybe I'll try to do one and make it my first one. We'll see what happens.
I mean, they're all pretty much the same, right? Cars and fast racing.
Have you seen any?
Nope.
Camilla's a big fan. She was on here a couple of weeks ago. I guess moving on. Okay, Cody. Here's another somber one. Lightyear director Angus MacLane is among 75 employees at Pixar who were laid off the other week by Disney. 75 employees laid off at Pixar.
Yeah, it's never a good thing when you see someone laid off, just in general. I can't say this one's exactly
Sure.
too surprising, just because Lightyear was a pretty big flop for the studio and they lost a lot of money on
Mm-hmm.
it, but you never like to see anyone get let go. So, I mean, cuts are cuts, but yeah, that's a rough one.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Speaking
Okay, we
of the
got.
Disney
Oh,
Pixar brand. Oh,
could you
go
ask
ahead.
me the one after that, and then I'll ask you the one about the Disney Pixar brand?
Yeah, sure. So, all right.
I wasn't sure if
Hayao,
you knew that one.
that's honestly a fair one. So,
If you
uh,
did, I'll ask you it. But if
no,
not,
I
okay,
was
okay,
about to fake it and I would have made
okay,
it.
cool.
All right. So, Hayao Miyazaki's final film, How Do You Live, is going to be released with no trailer and no marketing.
Okay, so Hayao Miyazaki is a legendary animator behind movies like Princess Mononoke, Spirited Away, and My Neighbor Totoro, all great, great, great movies. He's 82 years old. He has one more movie. How Do You Live? There going to be no trailer, no marketing at all. Boss, baller move. I love Hayao Miyazaki movies. I will definitely see it. I don't know what it's about. Nobody does. It's based on an old book, but whatever. I think it's really cool just to get that word out there. I think you'd like Hayao Miyazaki movies. He makes really good movies, but that's another recommendation for
I
later.
like that bold move. I think so many studios now give away so much with their trailers and promotion that I kind of like leaving a little bit of mystery.
Sure. I appreciate it. Good for you, Mr. Miyazaki. Okay. Now I'll ask you, Cody. Disney is making. Oh no, sorry. A new Pirates of the Caribbean movie is a priority for Disney, and they're non-committal about Johnny Depp coming back. Good idea, bad idea.
Interesting idea. I don't know. I mean, I understand this is a franchise that's made them a lot of money in the past, but I don't think this
True.
is a franchise anyone's out there begging for another movie from.
Not
So
really, no.
I don't know if it's necessarily the one I'd be betting on if I was Disney.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm with you on that one. I would just let it. It feels like it's kind of run its course.
Yeah. All right, this next one for you. Pretty new image from the 2024 Song of Ice and Fire calendar by Justin Sweet. Thoughts? And there's
It's really nice. That's Daenerys with Drogon from A Dance with Dragons in the final chapter where they're warned to the Dothraki Sea. These calendars are basically the only new books Song of Ice and Fire fans get every year from George R. R. Martin, who does every year he hires a new artist to illustrate these images. They're all really cool. And if I use calendars anymore, I'd get them, but I don't. So I'll just say how nice they look. They look so nice. All right. I'm gonna skip to another one because I think I'll be better for the Perry Mason one. Okay, Cody. So Zack Snyder of the Justice League has a new movie that's kind of Star Wars-esque, but not Star Wars, called Rebel Moon, coming to Netflix on December 22nd. Are you interested?
I'll probably check it out, but I think I'm a little hesitant because he's said that it's going to be two parts.
Yes,
and that he's releasing two different cuts, a family and an adult, and that just seems a little bit too extra for me. So we'll see which cut I end up watching, but I'll check out one of them in the end, probably.
I wish people just make one movie. Like the interview said that like it needed to be two. Like, no, it doesn't. Just make it one. Just make it good. Just do your job. Okay.
Yeah, he wants to make a TV show, I think is what he wants to do, but he doesn't want the TV show budget.
I think Netflix wants to make a TV show franchise, everything it possibly can. And then they just enable these people to just make it way too big. But anyway, that's not very true.
Yep. All right. So we've got HBO's canceled Perry Mason after 2 seasons. Are you surprised? Are you disappointed?
I'm not. I'm disappointed. I really liked this show. It was this show on HBO. It was this 30s period piece about like a unstable detective turned lawyer. It was really solid. It was well written. The mysteries were good. The characters were great. The acting was great. It looked expensive, and I don't think a lot of people watched it, so I'm not shocked. But it's too bad. I wish I had at least one more season to wrap things up. But Perry Mason forever. Yeah, there we go. All right, getting toward the end here. Cody, Disney announced that Star Wars Ahsoka, the next big Star Wars show, premieres on Disney Plus on August 23rd. Will you be watching?
Yeah, so I'll definitely be watching. I'm really curious to see what they do with this one. The Wednesday release time, I'm not a big Wednesday fan. I don't think it helped The Mandalorian season 3, but I think this one will be a success. I think that's also why we saw Loki get bumped, is because they don't want the two competing. So I think they're going all in with its promotion for Ahsoka, and I hope it hits well for the audiences.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Rosario Dawson, so what can you go wrong with there? But all right, last one. Good Omens season 2 coming out on July 28th. Are you excited?
I am. Yeah, I like this. This was an adaptation of a Neil Gaiman Terry Pratchett book. It was fun. It's kind of it's extremely whimsical in a British kind of way. If you like Monty Python, you'll kind of get the humor going on here. I really did, but I like the show anyway. David Tennant's good. Michael Sheen's good. It was a fun show. I think it'll be and Neil Gaiman is deeply involved, so I'm cool with that. Looking forward to it. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. All right.
I have to go rogue real quick. I need to know, do you think it will live up to the hype? Because it's been 4 years since season 1 dropped. Do you think that audience will show up for it?
I don't feel like there's been a ton of, I mean, like it was kind of it found an audience, but it wasn't like a giant phenomenon or anything. So I don't feel like there's too much expectation on it to do like spectacular. I think it'll be good. I mean, because Neil Gaiman is personally involved in writing it. He spent a lot of time. He's basically the showrunner. So, and I trust in his talent. I think it'll be quite good. Yeah, I think it'll be solid. And I don't think it has a ton of expectation on it. Do you? Like, do you think that people are really looking at this and being like, if this doesn't change TV, it's over for me?
No, that's what I thought the same thing, but I've seen some other people like talking about how, oh, did we need this season? I'm like, well, I think it'll be a fun season. Like, I think, I don't know. So I was curious to see if you were in that same boat or if I'm maybe alone there.
It looks like a lark, and I don't think I was expecting it to be anything other than a lark. So it kind of has the benefit of not having weighty expectations. I do know it has super fans. Like there are some folk who love this one, but like, just some super fans on Twitter tweeting in all caps about how they hated this detail. Who cares? Like, I bet it'll be a good time. And if it's not, then I take everything back and I will go live in a cave under the sea in exile for the next 90 years. And that is our show. Thanks again, Cody, for coming on. We think Daniel will be back next week. If you want more of us, we're here every week, every single week, on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. CST, 3 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Mountain, noon on the West Coast. I'm tired of saying all that. On the Windham Facebook page and YouTube page. We stream live. Come on, hang out with us, talk with us. It's fun. Join the discussion. We're also available in podcast form, wherever you download a podcast, be it Google Play, iTunes, or whatsoever. Cody, thanks so much again. Do you have any final words before we sign off?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for having me. I had a blast talking about Marvel, of course, and just everything fantasy and sci-fi. And I promise, as soon as I watch Game of Thrones, eventually, I'll let you know. You'll be my first call.
We can end it with that. Thanks a lot, Cody. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.